The Tyrant's Beloved Empress. Chapter 11. This is poison. After he left the last clinic, Qiangqi almost thought that after his rebirth, he had become overly paranoid and that there was no conspiracy regarding his mother's death, that she really had died of natural causes. He had been to every renowned clinic in the whole of Yejing but to no avail. Qiangqi sat in the carriage and pondered. He finally decided to make one last attempt, go to Qiangqi Lane. Qiangqi Lane was a remote area in Yejing and the clinic Qiangqi sought was situated in the innermost part of an alleyway. This clinic was much smaller than those in the main street and did not even have a name. It was mostly frequented by peasants. From the rumor Qiangqi had heard, the doctor here had a strange temperament but was highly skillful. Those he had treated had all recovered to the peak of health. The carriage stopped right at the entrance of Qiangqi Lane. The path was narrow with dilapidated houses on both sides. The evening sun was not enough to brighten the place and a moldy smell filled the air. "Wang Fei, the carriage can't go any further," Anfu alighted and said with a frown, "Is there really a clinic here?" Apart from them, everything in this place seemed run down and impoverished. How could someone earn a living from running a clinic here? Qiangqi hesitated, but now that they were already here, there were only a few more steps to go. "Let's just go in and have a look." Qiangqi and Anfu left the carriage and walked deeper into the alleyway. At the end of the road, they saw a house with a red broken door. A piece of cloth was pasted on it with the word clinic written in messy calligraphy. It really did not even have a proper name. Anfu knocked on the door. In the quiet neighborhood, the sound echoed loudly but no one answered. Instead, it was the rusty old door that creaked and opened by itself. Anfu was startled as he turned to look at Qiangqi. "Let's go in and have a look." Qiangqi walked past him and entered the clinic. Inside was a small yard without much gardening. Instead, there were many pots with winter herbs being planted. Beyond the yard was a hall for consulting patients. Qiangqi raised his voice and asked, "Is anyone here?" There was a long silence before a lazy voice from somewhere replied, "Who is it?" "I'm off today, no consultation." Qiangqi bowed his head and said politely, "It won't take long. I just need you to take a look at this prescription." A middle-aged man with a scruffy beard popped his head out of a small window of the house and said lethargically, "I can take a look but pay up 10 silver taels first." Anfu was furious. Even the doctors from Duran Hall dare not ask for this price. "Too expensive for you." The man grinned, "Then why don't you just go to Duran Hall? This is the price I charge all the rich people who come here. Accept it or not is up to you." Anfu choked up and stared at him in rage. Qiangqi, on the other hand, remained unaffected. He took out 10 taels of silver and placed them on the counter together with the prescription. "Sir, please have a look at this." The man turned his head and once he saw Qiangqi's face clearly, his eyes lit up. He immediately turned his wheelchair and came out of the house, all the while scanning Qiangqi rudely. Qiangqi frowned and asked patiently, "Sir?" The man withdrew his sight and took a quick glance at the prescription. He grinned and said, "I don't want the money but you have to let me draw a portrait of you." "Please sir, do not make fun of me." Qiangqi was getting uncomfortable. He knew the man was rumored to be eccentric but his request was highly inappropriate. He was about to refuse but the man continued, "No one has been able to tell you what is wrong with this prescription, am I right?" Qiangqi hesitated but answered, "Yes." "Let me draw you and I'll tell you how to detoxify it." The man tapped on the table while his eyes were fixed on Qiangqi's face. "Detoxify? There's really poison in this prescription." Qiangqi turned pale with shock. But the man did not say much. He kept knocking on the table and said, "Portrait." Qiangqi inhaled heavily. Thinking of his mother's health, he bit his lip and cast aside his pride. "What is your purpose for drawing me?" "It's for my collection of course," he smiled. "I've been collecting portraits of beautiful people, and someone as good looking as yourself is a rarity." And Qiangqi looked down and considered it. After thinking of how all the other clinics could not find fault with this prescription, he could only gnash his teeth and agreed, "Tell me what is wrong with this prescription first." The man moved his wheelchair closer to Qiangqi. He sniffed and said, "There's nothing wrong with this prescription." And Qiangqi was about to lose it when the man continued, "But if combined with the fragrance of the Qiangqi that's on your body, it will become poisonous. Where have you been the last 3 days? Qiangqi." And Qiangqi recalled the unknown flowers in Linghong Garden that were always in bloom even in the winter. Is that flower lavender in color and has 6 petals? Its stalk can grow up to 2 feet tall and blooms all year round. That's right. Qiangqi looks like a flower, but it's actually a medicinal herb. There's an ingredient in this prescription that conflicts with the properties of Qiangqi. The poison only manifests itself when the person who takes this medicine comes in contact with the pollen or inhales the fragrance when the flower is in bloom. This property of Qiangqi is rarely known, ordinary people would not even notice this. And Qiangqi thought of the Qiangqi field behind Linghong Garden that was growing in excellent condition. This herb had been planted all over the An Manor. And Qiangqi had assumed that it was due to An Zhikao or Madame Li's special fondness for the flowers, but it turned out that it had been to hide an intent to murder. But who could the instigator be? Did An Zhikao know about this? And Qiangqi clenched his fingers and tried to calm himself. "Do you have a cure?" "That goes without saying," the man said, "but you have to let me draw you first." This time, and Qiangqi did not continue to haggle with him. Since the man could tell the problem with the prescription, he would most likely be able to remedy it. Between saving his mother and allowing someone to draw a portrait of him, the choice was obvious. "All right." And Qiangqi agreed. "Where would you like to draw?" "After drawing, can you come with me for a few days to treat my mother? I'll be eternally grateful." The man waved his hand, "Keep quiet and sit still in the yard." And Qiangqi sat on a stool in the courtyard. The man rang a small bell and a boy came to deliver a few painting tools to him. He then sat and drew and Qiangqi with utmost seriousness. The session lasted almost half an hour. In the open yard, the chilling winter breeze had been blowing and Qiangqi was not wearing appropriate warm clothes. By the time the portrait was done, Qiangqi had turned white from cold. As soon as the man put away his brush, Anfu hurriedly gave him a hand warmer. And Qiangqi's lips trembled as he spoke, "Can you come with me now?" The man was about to answer when his expression suddenly changed. He turned his wheelchair backward and said, "What are you doing here?" This sentence was obviously not addressed to Qiangqi, but he still turned back to find a familiar figure standing at the door. Xiao Zhiga was also surprised to see him. Seeing that his hands had turned purplish due to the cold, he took off the cloak on his back and draped it over Qiangqi. "Wear more layers when you go out." The warmth from Xiao Zhiga's body still lingered on the cloak. And Qiangqi shrunk himself into it, raising the collar over his cheeks as he responded with a soft "N." The middle-aged man had his mouth wide open. He looked at Xiao Zhiga then back at Qiangqi with his eyes opened so wide that his eyeballs were almost dropping off. "You two know each other?" And Qiangqi, "My Wangfei." "Hu Shifei, a military doctor." Xiao Zhiga briefly introduced them before his eyes landed on the portrait that had yet to be hidden. His eyes squinted and he questioned, "What is this?" Hu Shifei instantly tried to pull back the painting, but he was one step behind. In a flash, Xiao Zhiga had gotten his hand on the painting. Xiao Zhiga unfolded the scroll and looked at it carefully. He then turned to Hu Shifei and said coldly, "Oh, you even know how to paint." His voice was low and anyone familiar with his temperament like Hu Shifei could tell that the tone was not good. However, Hu Shifei remained defiant. "This is the consultancy fee that Wang Fei paid me." He turned to wink at Qiangqi and with a drastic change in attitude, he spoke politely, "Wang Fei, isn't that right?" And Qiangqi remained silent while smiling back at him devilishly. He then turned to Xiao Zhiga and looked at him with innocent eyes. Hu Shifei pulled a black face and said, "Then I will not be examining the patient." Xiao Zhiga carefully put away the painting and glanced at him with a blank expression. Then, he called out, "Tie Hu." Through the door came a muscular man like an iron tower. He bowed to Xiao Zhiga, ready to receive his orders. "General, sir." "Take him away," Xiao Zhiga instructed. Tie Hu immediately took big strides towards Hu Shifei. He carried his wheelchair with him still sitting in place and walked out. "Dr. Hu, the general has ordered, please bear with it." Hu Shifei, pay. And Qiangqi was stunned by Xiao Zhiga's overbearing actions. He asked softly, "Is it all right for you to do that?" Xiao Zhiga reached out to button up his cloak and said, "He owes me a favor." After which, he thought briefly and added, "Tell me next time." And Qiangqi did not respond right away. After following him a few steps, and Qiangqi finally grasped what he meant, "Tell him if he needed anything." Thinking back, the man had come here instead of the Wang Manor right after returning from the barracks. It must have been to find Hu Shifei in regards to his mother's illness. And Qiangqi felt touched and reached out to hold his hand. He looked at him sweetly and said, "Next time, you'll be the first to know." End chapter. The Tyrant's Beloved Empress. Chapter 12. And Qiangqi is dead. Hu Shifei stretched his neck and looked out the carriage window. He saw Qiangqi getting into another carriage with Xiao Zhiga riding his horse beside it. The two were whispering to each other through the window. He couldn't help clicking his tongue and mumbled, "If I weren't a doctor myself, I would have thought that someone had put Wang Ye under a goo spell." Tie Hu, who was acting as a coachman, vaguely heard his words and exclaimed, "Who dares to touch the general? This Lao Hu will kill that person." Hu Shifei sneered, "If it's Wang Fei, I'd really like to see you try." Tie Hu was speechless. He scratched his head and said, "Wang Fei doesn't look like someone who practices witchcraft." "Looks like you're not that dumb after all." Hu Shifei rolled his eyes, then banged on the carriage wall and urged, "Hurry up and move." The two carriages headed back to the Wang Manor. When they arrived, Tie Hu placed Hu Shifei's wheelchair on the ground before placing him on it. He then carried them both and walked into the gate. Hu Shifei flared up and slapped the armrest of his wheelchair in anger. "Put me down. Do you think I can't walk by myself?" Tie Hu put him down and scratched his head. "Your leg has been broken for so many years, of course you can't walk. Does this wheelchair look like furnishings to you?" Hu Shifei yelled at him in anger. Tie Hu. And Qiangqi was laughing at them from behind. He looked at Xiao Zhiga and said, "Are all your underlings this? Interesting. Just this one. He'll be following you from now on," Xiao Zhiga said stoically. "Although Tie Hu is simple-minded, his martial arts is unrivaled and he's very loyal. Take him with you whenever you go out. I've assigned 2 others under him. If you need anything done, just tell Tie Hu and he'll handle it. Will that hinder your work?" And Qiangqi thought that it was good enough that Xiao Zhiga would give him a low-rank bodyguard like Zhao Shi, but to think that he would assign Tie Hu under him. Tie Hu may seem dim-witted, but seeing his strength and familiarity with Xiao Zhiga, and Qiangqi could tell that Tie Hu was not just a common soldier. "No. There's nothing to be done in Yejing. Keeping him idle is just a waste," Xiao Zhiga replied. And Qiangqi was relieved upon hearing that. They proceeded to the flower hall in the front courtyard when Hu Shifei said that he had not bathed for days and instructed Tie Hu to push him to the guest room so he could wash up. By the time they had reached the Wang Manor, it was almost dinner time. Thinking that both Tie Hu and Hu Shifei were Xiao Zhiga's close subordinates, and Qiangqi ordered the kitchen to prepare a large dinner for them and the 4 would dine together in the flower hall. Hu Shifei waited for the maidservants to finish setting up the table before coming in. While pushing his wheelchair, Tie Hu said, "Dr. Hu, if you could groom yourself this way every day, you wouldn't still be single at this age. And Qiangqi looked over and found that Hu Shifei was wearing a dark blue outfit and had shaved and bundled up his hair neatly. Only now did Hu Shifei resemble a scholarly middle-aged man. Hu Shifei let out a pei and shouted at Tie Hu, "What do you know?" Tie Hu kept quiet and continued to push Hu Shifei to greet An Qiangqi and Xiao Zhiga, "General, Wang Fei." Hu Shifei followed suit and politely greeted them. He continued to ask, "Where is the patient Wang Fei wanted me to treat? She's not in the Wang manor." After giving him a brief account of Lady Yu's situation, An Qiangqi continued, "Dr. Hu, please wait for a few more days. I will make arrangements for you to treat her." Now that he had already been abducted here, there was nothing Hu Shifei could do except to agree. The group finished their discussion and had dinner together. After which, the maidservants led Hu Shifei and Tie Hu to the guest rooms for the night. As for An Qiangqi, he couldn't sit still and paced about in the room. What Xiao Zhiga told him before weighed heavily in his mind, and Qiangqi will not lie past tonight. Xiao Zhiga would not deceive him, but without personally hearing the news, he could not rest assured. What if An Qiangqi survived? This would ruin everything he had planned. If An Qiangqi died tonight, not only could he use this to plant a seed of doubt and create a grudge between Madame Sun and Madame Li, but also drive a wedge between An Zhikao and An Zhizhou. Amidst the chaos that would ensue, An Qiangqi could then easily take his mother and sister away from the An manor. The moment Hu Shifei told him that there was something wrong with the prescription, the immediate suspect that came to his mind was Madame Li. Qianqi was not a rare plant. The wealthy usually found them too ordinary for their taste, and yet, they were planted abundantly at the An manor. Particularly the land behind Linghong Garden, where a vast area was used to plant Qianqi. Every time the flowers bloomed, the petals floated with the wind, carrying its fragrance across the field. Who knew that behind the beautiful scenery was a hideous plot to kill his mother? Madame Li was the second daughter of Count Qiangqi. Although the count did not enter the court, he was widely respected for his good deeds. Even his two daughters were quite well known in Yejing. The eldest married the eldest son of Marquis Kong Le, and the youngest married An Zhikao, Marquis and also the Prime Minister of Deya Empire. After Madame Li married into the An family, she had instantly become the main madam of the An household. She was magnanimous and well liked by all. On top of that, she was blessed with a son. No one could shake her position until Lady Yu came into the picture. Lady Yu entered the An family after Lady Lu, and as far as An Qiangqi could tell, An Zhikao had favored Lady Yu for a long time. During those years, the two were a harmonious couple, and An Zhikao even neglected Madame Li and Lady Lu. By the time Lady Yu gave birth to a son and a daughter, the winds were blowing her way. But the good days did not last long. When An Qiangqi was 4, Lady Yu did something that had incurred An Zhikao's wrath. Since then, he had never taken another step into Linghong Garden, and Lady Yu began to live inconspicuously, trying her best to stay out of trouble and raise her 2 children. Although those years of Lady Yu being favored disappeared in a flash, it had lingered in the memories of many people. And Qiangqi thought that Lady Lu was the only one who had hated them, since she had always openly mocked the mother and child. But as it seemed, the reputable Madame Li also held a deep-seated grudge against his mother. Her kindness and generosity were nothing but a front. If it really was Madame Li. A plan took shape in his mind, but at the same time, he had gotten more anxious. He kept glancing at the door. They had sent someone to watch the An manor. The moment An Qiangqi died, they would immediately get wind of it. You will get the news in about an hour. Xiao Zhiga was leaning on the bed reading a book on warfare. Seeing An Qiangqi walking back and forth, he said, "Impulsiveness is a big taboo in any tactic." An Qiangqi could only hear his previous sentence. He rushed to the bed to confirm, "Really? How can you tell?" Being distracted, An Qiangqi was not aware of his current posture. He was kneeling over Xiao Zhiga on the bed with his arms at his side. He was barefooted and his belt was loosened, opening up the neckline of his robe. Xiao Zhiga's eyes were pulled towards the white fair skin that was exposed. He held his breath and sighed mentally at Qiangqi's unintentional seductive pose. He reached out to fasten up his collar, then hugged and dragged him into bed. He covered him with the blanket and said, earlier in the evening, the 2 remaining doctors in Duren Hall had been invited to the inn manor. It was self-evident for whom the doctors were invited to treat. It must be that the current doctors had given up and the inn family had called in the rest to give a second opinion. Only then did Qiangqi felt relieved. He laid quietly in bed for a while before sitting up again. He sulked and said, "I still can't sleep." He was like a child who had listened halfway through a story and could not sleep till he got to the end. Xiao Zhiga looked at him and sighed helplessly, "Don't sleep then." And Qiangqi gave a smug smile. He leaned against Xiao Zhiga's arm and probed at the book in his hand. "Why don't you tell me a bit about warfare?" Xiao Zhiga grimaced awkwardly. He had read countless books on war but had never had to read it to anyone. Facing Qiangqi's expectant eyes, he remained silent briefly before flipping to the first page and began to read it word by word. Qiangqi had wanted him to tell him a story, but unexpectedly, the man recited the book to him. Qiangqi was dumbfounded for a while, only to realize that it would have been even more absurd if this person could tell a story. He rested his head casually on Xiao Zhiga's broad chest with his eyes closed as he listened to his reading. Xiao Zhiga's voice was low and clear. One could detect the attentiveness in his moderately slow reading speed to ensure that Qiangqi could comprehend it. Qiangqi listened and eventually dozed off. Seeing that he had closed his eyes, Xiao Zhiga put down his book and gazed at him. The youth was leaning against his chest with half his face covered by his long hair. Only the curly long eyelashes and straight nose were revealed. Even so, his look was too adorable. Xiao Zhiga stuttered on the words of the book which he had memorized by heart. Seeing Qiangqi deep in sleep, he couldn't control himself and reached out to touch the quivering eyelids and the lovely little nose. Being disturbed, the youth in his embrace hummed twice discontentedly before burying his face into his chest. Xiao Zhiga withdrew his fingers and held Qiangqi with one arm. There was a soft smile on his lips. Although the posture was a little awkward, he did not want to let go. Qiangqi slept in Xiao Zhiga's arms for about an hour when Anfu came to report at the door. Xiao Zhiga covered Qiangqi's ears and said softly, "Come in." Anfu, who had just returned to Wang Manor with the news from the inn manor, walked briskly in. He was about to give his report when he saw the pair embracing behind the screen, and his words got stuck in his throat for a long time. When he snapped out of his daze, he quickly reported, "Qiangqi is dead." "All right. You can leave." Seeing that Qiangqi was sleeping soundly, Xiao Zhiga put out the light on the table. "Whatever it is, we can deal with the matter tomorrow." End chapter. The Tyrant's Beloved Empress. Chapter 13. Please enter the urn. Qiangqi slept soundly all the way till dawn. When the winter sun pierced through the window and landed on his face, he jolted up, and the first words that came from his mouth were, "Is Qiangqi dead?" Xiao Zhiga just happened to come back from his morning practice. His footsteps quietened as he entered the room. "He died in the middle of the night." Qiangqi took in his answer and murmured his complaint, "Why didn't you wake me up last night?" "You were deep asleep and it wasn't anything important," Xiao Zhiga responded. By now, Qiangqi was familiar with Xiao Zhiga's unspoken words. He understood that Xiao Zhiga must have thought that Qiangqi's death had been determined and did not see the need to wake him up about it. Putting the matter behind, Qiangqi got up and washed. After having Anfu assist him in changing, he asked, "Have they sent someone to deliver the news?" Right as he asked, Steward Wang came in with a servant boy from the inn manor. The servant had a piece of white linen over his waist. He bowed and relayed the news that Qiangqi had been expecting. Qiangqi said that he would attend the funeral and sent the servant back. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The funeral was in 7 days and Qiangqi was not going to let his mother's illness drag out that long. After the 3rd day of Qiangqi's wake, he arranged everything before going to the An manor with Tiehu and Hu Shifei. The visit to the An family this time was a steep contrast from the last time he was here. Maybe it was because of the chanting and mourning in the west courtyard that the whole mansion seemed to be covered in a dark cloud. The maidservants and manservants were all wearing a piece of white linen and had their eyes downcast. Even Madame Li was wearing plain clothes and looking haggard. On his way to Linghong Garden, Qiangqi passed by the ominous west courtyard. He glanced inside and saw several monks sitting cross-legged while chanting the sutras. Madame Soon had disheveled hair and a haggard-looking face. She was kneeling in prayer, and when she lifted her head, her eyes happened to meet with Qiangqi's. On the day of his homecoming, he already had a confrontation with the second branch and hence, did not bother to put up a polite front. When their eyes met, Qiangqi paused his step and nodded lightly. However, Madame Sun's eyes widened. She got up abruptly and charged at him while screaming, "You whore! Give me back my son!" Qiangqi was unfazed. He stood in place as Madame Soon closed in. As she was just 2 steps away, she was held back at the neck by Tiehu. She continued to struggle, but Tiehu did not relent. Even towards a lady, he did not hesitate when he kicked her at the back of her knee, forcing Madame Soon to kneel down. He exclaimed forcefully, "You're supposed to show your respect in front of Wang Fei." Madame Soon was still resisting. She glared at Qiangqi with bloodshot eyes and shouted furiously, "Just you wait. Retribution will befall you." Qiangqi looked down at her and laughed, "I didn't kill him. Why would I get retribution? If it wasn't for you, my son would not have died." His denial aggravated her anger. If she wasn't being held back by Tiehu, she would have avenged her son with her own hands. "I thought Wang Ye had made it clear the last time. Hadn't I interceded, Qiangqi would not have lived past the last 2 days." Qiangqi raised his brows. "If I wanted him dead, why would I risk going against Wang Ye just to plead for him?" Madame Soon continued to stare at him while gasping heavily. Qiangqi rubbed the jade pendant on his waist and continued, "There are many people with broken hands and legs who are still alive. About Qiangqi's death, shouldn't you question the doctors instead? Besides, there's a possibility that someone doesn't want him to live. Whatever it is, his death gets me nothing." Madame Soon raised her head and asked, "What are you trying to say?" Madame Li, who was standing nearby, frowned and said, "The doctors said that Qiangqi died from blood loss due to the severe injuries." "The doctor's words are not always true," and Qiangqi glanced at her and smirked. "Didn't the doctors say that Lady Yu's illness can be remedied with supplements? She has been taking them all these years and I haven't seen her get any better. On the contrary, her health is deteriorating. This is why sometimes, the doctor's words aren't trustworthy." And Qiangqi turned to look at Madame Soon. "Second aunt, don't you agree?" Madame Soon's tear-drenched eyes shifted back and forth between Qiangqi and Madame Li. She staggered back and called out, "Someone, go get Fei Kui for me." Madame Li's heart jumped, but she managed to speak calmly, "Wang Fei's speculation is too absurd." And Qiangqi replied with deliberation, "Absurd or not, let Dr. Hu here have a look and decide." Madame Li's fingers trembled. She cast a quick glance at the maidservant beside her before adjusting her frame of mind and followed Qiangqi to Linghong Garden. Linghong Garden was as quiet as ever. The only difference was that the unkempt front yard was now cleared of snow and weeds and warmth was exuding from inside the house. The occupants inside heard the movements and quickly came to the door. Xianyu saw Qiangqi in the front and joyously called out to her brother, but she froze immediately after seeing Madame Li. She greeted in a small voice, "Mother." Qiangqi gently patted her on the head and followed her in. "How is Yiniang doing? Where is Zhao Shi?" Note, the main wife was the legal mother while Yiniang refers to the father's concubine. And Xianyu replied, Yiniangyu is the same as always and Xiaoxi is preparing her medicine at the back. When she said that, and Xianyu was a little embarrassed as that was originally her chore. There were no servants assigned to Linghong Garden and so it had always been An Xianyu who handled the housework. It wasn't until An Qiangqi left Xiaoxi for them that things had gotten easier on the mother and daughter. The sarcastic banter had disappeared and even the monthly consignments that had regularly been embezzled were now being timely delivered in full. The room was kept warm by the burning charcoal and Lady Yu's cough had alleviated considerably, reducing An Xianyu's workload and allowing her more time for her studies. And Qiangqi saw the joy in her eyes and smiled, "Where is Mom?" Just as he asked, a woman dressed in a thickly padded gown came from behind the partition. Seeing An Qiangqi, she instinctively called out no, but stopped halfway the moment she noticed Madame Li's presence. She quickly changed her form of address. "Third young master, you're here. Lady Yu, I've invited Dr. Hu here to have a look at your illness," and Qiangqi stepped forward to help her sit down. The mother and son looked at each other with an unspoken understanding. Hearing his cue, Hu Shifei cleared his throat and stepped forward to salute. Lady Yu returned the greeting with a subtle nod before holding out her wrist for him to read her pulse. Hu Shifei closed his eyes and studied her pulse while An Qiangqi and Madame Li took a seat and waited for the results. Proceeding with the plan, Hu Shifei pretended to read Lady Yu's pulse before opening his eyes and declared, "Lady Yu is inflicted with poison. Show me the dregs of her daily medicine." And Qiangqi's expression turned grim. "Poisoned? What makes Dr. Hu say so?" Madame Li was also in shock. She exclaimed, "That's impossible." Her reaction was so overly distinct that several pairs of eyes turned to focus on her. "Motherly, you're not a doctor, how do you know it's impossible?" And Qiangqi lowered his eyes and said callously, "Let's listen to what Dr. Hu has to say." Madame Li also knew that her reaction was not normal. She squeezed her handkerchief and quickly calmed her voice. "What I meant is, this is the manner. No one here would dare to poison anyone. Whether there's poison or not, we'll know after testing it." And Qiangqi ordered for Xiaoxi to bring out the medicine which he had just finished concocting. A strong medicinal fragrance filled the room as Xiaoxi brought out the medicine. Hu Shifei took out a silver needle and dipped its tip into the medicine. Not long after, the needle turned black. Hu Shifei presented the needle to An Qiangqi. "Wang Fei, please look at this. It is indeed poison." And Qiangqi turned to look at Madame Li with a stern expression. To think someone dared to use poison in the manner. "I have to tell father and the old matriarch to get to the bottom of this." There was a twitch in Madame Li's eyes but she maintained a dignified front and said, "Of course, we have to investigate this thoroughly." And so, they proceeded to the main courtyard to find An Zhikao and the old matriarch. And Qiangqi slowed his steps to support Lady Yu. He looked at Madame Li's stiff back from behind and commanded in a clearly audible voice, "Lady Yu's medicine has always been brewed by Yu'er, so it was most likely tampered with by the physician or the apothecary. Tie Hu, follow Anfu to Duren Hall and bring back the doctor and apothecary worker." There was an indiscernible pause in Madame Li's movement before she quickly moved ahead as naturally as she could. Both An Zhikao and the old matriarch were invited to the main courtyard. The old matriarch had just lost a grandson and so her mood was as bad as could be when her presence was urgently requested. She looked at the group of people and frowned with annoyance. "What is it now?" Madame Li was about to reply when An Qiangqi beat her to it. "Today, I brought Dr. Hu from the Wang Manor to have a look at Lady Yu's illness. Unexpectedly, he told me she wasn't sick but had been poisoned." And Qiangqi then gestured for Xiaoxi to present the bowl of medicine and the blackened needle. And Qiangqi continued, "This medicine has always been brewed by Yu'er. There are also no maids in Linghong Garden, so the issue could only come from either the attending physician or the apothecary. I've already ordered them to be brought here from Duren Hall." The old matriarch's momentum deteriorated. She frowned and said, "Could it all be a mistake? Who would poison Lady Yu?" And Qiangqi looked at An Zhikao with cold eyes. I also want to know. Who would want to poison Lady Yu? An Zhikao grimaced but stayed silent. Before long, the doctor and apothecary worker of Duran Hall who had treated Lady Yu were brought in. And Qiangqi swept a glance at Madame Li, and as expected, by her side was an additional maid who had appeared out of nowhere. He smirked subtly and turned to look at the two men with critical eyes. Lady Yu's daily medicine is poisonous. Does this have anything to do with you? The apothecary worker was frozen with shock before he could react with loud outbursts. When the physician saw the scene, he quickly bowed low and only lifted his head to study An Qiangqi's expression. As he lowered his head again, he secretly looked at Madame Li within his peripheral vision. Madame Li was sitting upright with an unfazed demeanor. The only movement came from her right hand as she nudged a string of Bodhi beads on her wrist. End chapter. The Tyrant's Beloved Empress. Chapter 14. I'll take you home. The doctor turned pale as his eyes lingered on the string of Bodhi beads. He then turned away and copied the apothecary worker's words denying their involvement. You say that it has nothing to do with you, but the poison couldn't have come from nowhere. And Qiangqi took a sip of tea before slamming the teacup on the table with a loud thud. Why don't I interrogate you both separately? From the beginning of Lady Yu's diagnosis to the source of the medicine, it's best if what you two said matches, but if there is any discrepancy between your words. And Qiangqi cast them a chilling stare. I can always pull out the truth in the Wang Manor's torture chamber. The two men kneeling on the ground slammed their heads onto the ground and begged, we have told you everything. Everything we said is the truth. Madame Li raised her eyes to look at them. She lowered her sight and moved the Bodhi beads at a slightly faster pace. Wang Fei, this is the An Manor and not the Dolly Court. And Zhikao, who had been silent, finally spoke up. With a displeased look, he said, they might not be the culprits. Is there a need to scare them with torture? And Qiangqi did not back down. If father thinks that I'm being unreasonable, then bringing this matter to the Dolly Court is also a viable option. You. And Zhikao choked. He naturally would not want to involve the Dolly Court into this. The An family would become a laughingstock. And if this crime involved someone in the family, it could tarnish their reputation. Do as you want. And Zhikao flung his sleeve disgruntledly. Tie Hu, take them to the side rooms. Tie Hu received the order and escorted the doctor into the next room, leaving the apothecary worker in the hall. The apothecary worker was kneeling in the center of the hall with An Qiangqi on one side and the rest of the An family on the opposite. He was drenched in cold sweat as over a dozen pairs of eyes focused on him. Whatever Hu Shifei asked, he would answer to the tiniest detail. When the inquiries ended, half an hour had passed and the paper in Hu Shifei's hand was fully written. He folded and passed it to An Qiangqi and prepared for the next round of interrogation. The doctor's surname was Wang and he was already in his early 50s. After spending half an hour alone in the next room, his legs had turned soft and he had to be supported by Tie Hu. Hu Shifei began his interrogation once again. Although his tone was mild, with his experience working with the military for a long time, his questions were critical and aimed straight at the heart of the matter, leaving the doctor little room to recover. After answering a few questions, Dr. Wang was covered in sweat. In his panic, he erratically glanced at Madame Li several times, only to be given bone-chilling stare by her. Madame Li watched the proceeding with cold eyes as her sharp nails clawed over the Bodhi beads, leaving a clear scratch mark on them. Hu Shifei continued to hound Dr. Wang with questions, one more difficult to answer than the other. However, Dr. Wang's mind at this point was only focused on the familiar string of Bodhi beads, the same one his aged mother carried with her all the time. With sweat dripping all over his forehead, he raised his head and looked around in a trance. Gathering all his strength, he abruptly stood up and rammed head-on into a pillar. In an instant, blood was gushing out of him, turning the hall chaotic. Dr. Wang fell to the ground. His body twitched a few times before becoming motionless. Hu Shifei hurriedly went to check his breath. He turned back to look at Qiangqi and shook his head. He's dead. The women were all shocked and moved away from the body. The old matriarch pinched her forehead and chanted a few Buddhist prayers. She then told the servants to carry the body away. Zhikao helped her walk while turning to Qiangqi and said with discontent, "The culprit is dead. Is Wang Fei satisfied now?" Qiangqi did not expect that the doctor would choose to kill himself. His original plan was to force the doctor into admitting his crime. The poison in Lady Yu's medicine today was planted by Zhao Shi at Qiangqi's command. This was to provide substantial evidence and take them by surprise. If they had gone with the angle that the Qianqi could cause poisoning and started accusing the doctor, he could simply feign ignorance and blame his inadequate medical skills. And as the mastermind, Madame Li would be void of suspicion because, how could she, a simple housewife, know what a doctor didn't? After much contemplation, Qiangqi chose this plan out of desperation to pin the doctor and Madame Li for the crime. As long as the doctor confessed to the poisoning, even without revealing the mastermind, Qiangqi could still force Zhikao to let him take his mother and sister away. As for Madame Li, he would then plant a little thorn to deal with her. What he did not expect was that Madame Li was more devious than he thought. To think that she could even force the doctor to commit suicide on the spot. He looked at the frightened Madame Li who was being cared for by a servant girl. Qiangqi said, "He is a doctor with no qualms against Lady Yu, why would he poison her? I'm afraid there is a mastermind behind this. Now that he has committed suicide, the only lead is gone. Instead of living in suspicion, let's just request the Dali court to investigate this." "You dare?" Zhikao flared with anger. "The culprit is already dead and Lady Yu is also fine. If this matter spreads, the Yin family will become a laughingstock in the whole of Yejing." Qiangqi's expression turned stoic as he discarded his politeness. "What becomes of the Yin family has nothing to do with me. My only concern is that as long as the main culprit is not found, Lady Yu's life will continue to be in danger. Nothing is more important than the century-old namesake left by the ancestors." Zhikao snapped. "Then Minister An, you can keep your reputation," Qiangqi said in a tone filled with sarcasm. "I will have Lady Yu recuperate elsewhere. And Yu'er will go with her." Zhikao looked at Qiangqi with a slight sense of suspicion, as though he could not recognize him. After a long pause, he finally said the word "good" 3 times. "Well, it seems you've been aiming for this since the beginning. I would have never known that you could be this conniving. There is much that Minister An does not know," Qiangqi locked eyes with him and smiled. "So, what will it be?" Zhikao flung his sleeve. "Lady Yu can go with you to recuperate but Yu'er cannot. She will be married off next spring and has to stay at home. It's simply inappropriate for her to go with Lady Yu." Qiangqi was sure to disagree with this reasoning. Marriage? That had yet to be decided. And leaving his sister in this horrible place was out of the question. The wedding is still far off. Yu'er has been living with Lady Yu all this time. Now that the real murderer has yet to be caught, if something were to happen to her when she is alone, Qiangqi lowered his eyes and said slowly, "I still think we should invite the officers from Dali Court to investigate this. This is the only way to ease my worries." This was the very first time Zhikao had been forced into a dead end. And the one who had ensnared him into this contrived situation was the disregarded son of a concubine. He stared grudgingly at Qiangqi as though he was not his son but an enemy. In a heavy tone, he declared, "So be it. Go ahead and take her." "Thank you, Minister An," Qiangqi finally smiled sincerely. "There's much to be done back in the Wang Manor. I'll be taking my leave with Lady Yu and Yu'er then." After which, he nodded to the crowd and left the hall together with Lady Yu and Xianyu, who were being escorted by Tiehu and Zhao Shi. When he got to the gate, Qiangqi caught sight of a particular person. He stopped and greeted, "Second aunt." Madame soon had tidied up her looks and her temperament. She was not present in the hall previously, but it was likely she knew what had transpired. And Qiangqi was just thinking about how to use this thorn when she had delivered herself to him. He grinned and approached her, conversing in a low voice. Tyrant Hall is under the management of Madame Li's family, do you know that? Madame soon stared hard at him. I do, what of it? Don't even think of using me. And Qiangqi smiled, it's not so much as using, but we have the same enemy. Lady Yu was poisoned for no reason and cousin has also died without an apparent cause. We can't just let the murderer get away with it. At this point, Madame soon remained silent. Dr. Wang's family lives in Tongyun Lane, and Qiangqi added before turning to leave. After they had exited the main gate of the inn manor, and Qiangqi heaved a long sigh. He then turned to his still in shock mother and sister and said with a smile, you both no longer have to suffer any more persecution from this ghastly place. I will support you from now on. Lady Yu looked at him and her eyes turned red. She touched his cheek and said, it's been hard on you. Without her realizing it, her weak and innocent son had grown into a big tree that could shelter them from the storm. Not at all, and Qiangqi blinked and tried to suppress the sourness in his nose. He smiled and said, let's go. We'll return to the Wang Manor for now. Mother, sister, both of you will live with me until I find a suitable place for you to stay. Although Qiangqi would love to live with his mother and sister, letting them stay too long in the Wang Manor would invite unwanted gossip. And then there was also the matter regarding the Wu family. Lady Yu and Xian Yu boarded the sedan and Qiangqi was about to enter with them when he realized that the small carriage he brought today would be too crowded for 3 people. Just as Qiangqi was contemplating if he should ride with Hu Shifei, a deep voice called him from behind, no. And Qiangqi's ears turned red. He turned back and scowled, you're not allowed to call me by this name. This was a subconscious reaction, and when Qiangqi realized it, he saw that everyone around him had their eyes downcast, staring at their feet awkwardly. He then saw Xiao Zhiga with his usual expression reaching out his hand to him, I've come to pick you up. Let's go. And Qiangqi's heart softened. His anger disappeared in a flash, leaving him with only embarrassment. And Qiangqi looked back at the carriage before gritting his teeth and took the man's hand. Xiao Zhiga held onto him and helped him up the horse, allowing Qiangqi to sit in front of him. Today, Xiao Zhiga was riding a stout red mare which was much stronger and larger than his other horses. It was large enough to accommodate 2 people. And Qiangqi had his back right against Xiao Zhiga's chest. Feeling the sneaking glances from his surroundings, and Qiangqi clutched the horse's mane and urged, let's hurry back. Xiao Zhiga wrapped his arms over Qiangqi's waist and pulled the reins. Feeling the gestures, the red horse neighed and began its throttle back to the manor. The group of onlookers including Tiehu and Zhaoxi were dumbfounded. They stood and stared for a long time before Hu Shifei had to slam on the sedan and urged, what are you standing there for? Let's go. The 2 snapped out of their daze and quickly maneuvered the horse carriage, following behind Qiangqi and Xiao Zhiga. End chapter.